Good evening, Namaste. As you all know, this is a very special session on the birthday of Madam Annie Besant. So we have a series of short talk today, which Sister Pooja would moderate. And there are three different brilliant speakers of the day, of the evening. So I would start the prayer and then Pooja will take it up. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. I request Sister Pooja to start the session of the evening.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So, as ma'am already said, today is a very special day for all of us as it marks the beginning of new theosophical year, a time to reflect, renew, and redirect ourselves to the values of truth, unity, and service. It is also the birth anniversary of Dr. Annie Besant, a visionary leader, social reformer, and guiding light in the theosophical movement. As we come together, let us honor her legacy and carry forward her spirit of wisdom and compassion. With that thought, I warmly welcome you all for this gathering. So, I would like to give introduction about Dr. Darshan Kumar Jhan, sir. He is an assistant professor of geography at Jagat Taran Girls PG College, University of Allahabad, Prayagraj. He completed his BA, MA, and PhD in geography from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, specializing in urban geography, human geography, developmental studies, and spatial quantitative analysis. He has authored over 15 papers in national and international journals and presented more than 30 papers at conferences in India and abroad. Dr. Jha has delivered numerous keynote lectures on geography, environmental studies, and research methodologies. Apart from academics, he is active in social and extracurricular initiatives, working with NGOs for the upliftment of slum dwellers, children, and women. And he is also a certified mountaineer. Oh my goodness. He has participated in several expeditions, including a pre-Mount Everest expedition. He's also recognized as an innovation ambassador by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. He is the member of Anand Lodge, Theosophical Society, Prayagraj, and is fluent in English, Hindi, Maithili, and Sanskrit. He's also passionate about literature and has written poems and short stories in Hindi. I would like to welcome Sir and ask Sir to talk about today's occasion. Thank you. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you, Pooja. Can I share the screen?
Sorry? Yeah.
Share
Yes.
the screen.
Yes, yes, share. You can share the screen.
It's disable from your end.
Yeah. Are you able to do it?
No, it is disabled from your end.
It is disabled from my end. Okay.
Hmm.
Let me.
Host disable attending screen sharing.
Okay.
You have to make me co-host.
Yes. I am.
Actually, I'm not the host.
Okay.
Mahapata sir will do it. Yes.
Uh, okay, just a minute. Uh, I'm not able to find you. Okay, just one moment. I have already made you co-host. Darshan ji, देखो तो. Share your screen.
Ah, now it's working.
Ah.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, it's quite visible.
Yes, we can see.
Please share your screen again. You just stopped sharing. Just share it again. Yeah.
We can see the PPT.
Okay. Now it's shareable, I think. Is it visible, Pooja ma'am? Okay.
Yes, it is visible, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity to share my thought about Dr. Annie Besant, a great educationist. So today we are celebrating the birth anniversary of Dr. Annie Besant, who is not just a theosophist but also a visionary leader, a social reformer, and a great educationist. So I will talk about his contribution in the education, how he shaped the education of the India and modern society basically. And we will go through the some passages from the Theosophy also. So as we know, my screen is visible and it's moving. I think anyone can comment. One life, many
Yes,
lives.
yes,
Yes,
yes. It
Ali.
is good.
Yes.
One
As
life, many lives.
one life, many lives. So we know that this any Besant is basically the live many lives in one life. So I can say because in the first phase, she has the rationalist, social reformers, freemanship spirit, and women rights. Basically, after when she meet blood schema, he, she turns to the theosophy, and then she talk about the spiritual philosophy, reincarnation, karma, and this is also the second phase where he turned about the education as a service and Sanatan Dharma and education of the Indian education deals in the Indian scripture, and the ideas of education has grows and developed in the way of the modernity, secularism, social reforms, and then the theosophy. After that, she also took active participant in the political nationalism, and this also shaped her view about the education and how education can shape the national movement and the society. And at the later stage, she also when she talk about the theosophical synthesis or clairvoyance experiences, she also talk about the role of education, how it is uh, important not in a social development or national development, but at the development of theosophy or the development of the uh, soul or the man. So her idea is a holistic idea about the education. So we will start with the Annie Besant's quote, which is oftenly quoted by the many educationists, that the function of education is not merely to fill minds with facts, but to draw out the soul of the man. So she believes that the education is the instrument which is very crucial to awaken the man. How man shaped the society and how society shaped the man. Both are interchangeable. That anyway since deal with his idea about the education. Now, before we think about the what she said about the education and what is her role, contribution, and how she established different educational institutions, how she talk about the Krishnamurti about the education, we have to understand the philosophy of education and the idea of education of any vision. So she believed that the true education is not just book learning, but the development of the whole personality. So she took about the four pillars of the way: physical, intellectual, moral, and spiritual. So basically, from physical body to intellectual, moral, and then the spiritual body, all are included in the education. Education is the instrument for developing all these. She advocates the character building and spiritual growth as essential parts of education. It is notable that in the first phase of her life journey, she is not very she is not taking care the character building very much important. But after joining the theosophy and then coming into India and uh, reading Indian scripture, she strongly recommend character building is a part of not only the spiritual growth, but also the growth of the society. She stressed about Indians' cultural heritage while incorporating modern science and rational thinking. We'll see in this letter idea promoted the idea of education for social services. Knowledge should be used for upliftment of society, and this is not only her urge about the educationist, about the social reformer, but also about the theosophist also. She also promote theosophists to deal education as a service. Now educational ideas she believes, and on these beliefs she contributed in many ways in educational institution, educational uh, visions. So she believes in holistic education combining spiritual, moral, and scientific knowledge. Annie Besant envisages the University of India. It is an inspiration that would blend modern education with traditional Indian values, particularly emphasizing religious instructions for Hindus to contract skepticism and foster a spiritual revolution. Later that, this idea will merge in the idea of Mahamana Madan Mohan Malviya's Hindu University ideas, and the Central Hindu College of Annie Besant has been grown as the Banaras Hindu University. So she emphasized Indian culture, Vedic studies, moral instruction along with modern sciences, advocate home rule and education, that Indians must shape their own education system. It is also important that in British era, when she arrived India, Indian education system is majorly dominated by elite Englishmen who think that the whole education of India is just a compartment of Shakespeare's library in England. So she promote the culture, Vedic studies, and others, Upanishads, and uh, she influenced the whole society that no, India's education system or education literature of India is not just confined in a small way. It is a broader than any country, than any society, and this is her beliefs which shapes educational vision of any business. So she also expressed the idea about the curriculum development, rejected the purely exam oriented colonial education system, and emphasized value based education system like moral lessons, discipline, patriotism. And we can say these curriculum development in various institutions she has established or established on the basis of her inspiration included Vedic studies, Bhagavad Gita, Sanskrit, and Indian philosophy alongside science, mathematics, and English. That means amalgamation of Western modern education with the Indian ancient wisdom. She advocates mother tongue as medium of instruction, and we can see that the new education policy of India now recognize that the mother tongue is the best medium of instruction in India, and she advocates that English should be as a secondary languages. Therefore, she has her vision is uh, her vision is more futuristic at that time than any vision or any government document, any government policies So, uh, based on these philosophies, ideas, and curriculum development, she has established various educational institutes, which are now notable institute now play a very significant role in the development of India and the development of education. So first is the Central Hindu College, 1898 at Varanasi, which later became the part of Banaras Hindu University. Or we all know that in the establishment of Banaras Hindu University, Annie Besant has a key role along with the Mahamana Madan Mohan Malviya. So there are three persons basically. Mahamana Madan Mohan Malviya. The goal of him is the establishment of Hindu University. Second, Darbhanga Maharaj Kameshwar Nath Singh, which goal is establishes Sarda University on the basis of Hindi scripture. And third, the Dr. Annie Besant, uh, who believes that the University of India should be based on Hindu scripture and amalgamation of Hindu scripture and modern science. So basically, Banaras Hindu University is the concept which has been nurtured by these three great leaders, and Annie Besant gave the nucleus of the Hindu University, that Central Hindu College, and this Central Hindu College became the Banaras University later, as a as per the act of the Banaras University passed by the parliament. Along the Banaras University, she established several schools across India through the Theosophical Educational Trust. One Besant Theosophical High School, Chennai, and others in various places where it is run by the Theosophical societies and different trusts established by the NBC. One in Vasanta College for Women, VCW Rajghat, which was earlier located in the Theosophical Society campus and later moved to Rajghat when J. Krishnamurti moves there. Basin Theosophical College in Medinapalli. This is one of the most prominent theosophical colleges which claim his legacy with Danny Basin. And now government proposes to upgrade this college as a university. Again, the Besant Theosophical High School, Besant High School, Besant Oriental School. These all are either established by Besant or inspired by the idea of the education of the Besant. After her death, J. Krishnamurti and others also established a Besant Hill School of Happy Valley. Earlier, it is known as the Hill School of Happy Valley, but in recent past, I think 2 years before or 3 years before, it has been renamed as Besant Hill School of Happy Valley in her honor. And this school is important that because this school deals education with only 70 or 80 students, uh, with the core idea of Krishnamurti and Bisin. How can we develop a child as a true person? Next. Now we'll focus on the educational writings and lectures which delivered by the Annie Besant, and in his lectures, writing pamphlets, in her lecture writing and pamphlets, she express and elaborate her idea about the education and role of education basically. So she authored various pamphlets. As we know that the writings of Annie Besant is one of the pile of books, lectures, and pamphlets. So some pamphlets which are basically focused on education, while the education as the basis of national life. Again, the India's awakening. Basically, India's awakening is based on the how education is turning or shaping the India's national movement. Then the principle of education, which is the part of national education pamphlet number one. Duties of Theophist, in the duties of Theosophist pamphlet, she also discusses about the how Theosophists should use education as a tools and education as a service. Education should, she believes that education should bring unity of religious and promote universal brotherhood. And so she believes that the Theosophists should invest her times in education. A spiritual wisdom of Upanishads and Gita should be made accessible to modern students. So she gave various lecture series exclusively to students and theosophists. Basically, what is the main idea of Upanishad and what is the main idea of Gita, and how students should learn the core values and principle from from these scriptures. So we can see that the numerous of her lectures, essays are in easy languages to understand Upanishad and Gita for the students. She believes that teachers should serve as moral guides, not just instructors. Educationists or educators was moral guides or guardian of the students, she believes, and it can be seen in the case of Krishnamurti and other disciple, I can say, of the Any Basin. Uh, when J. Krishnamurti wrote a book, Education as Service, uh, she wrote forward of this book and explained Krishnamurti ideas with her own experiences. In this forward, we should as an educationist, we should always read this forward. She explained in this forward that all the ideas, all the visions Krishnamurti explains in this book has been participated either in Indian ancient schools or gurukuls, or she also deals that how can she learn from these she learned these ideas from these scripture, and how she practiced in these ideas uh, in the new school she has established then. So this forward is very inspirational. Apart from the book is also inspirational. Now, the national education movement she shaped, she strongly opposed the, as we discussed, the Anglican elite disconnected from Indian roots, and he promote a movement that education for India by Indians in Indian esprit. There are three things: not the education of for India by British, it should be by Indians, and it should not be only Indians, but in Indian aspect, that we cannot understand the Western philosophy, Western thought by the Indians, and it will be Indian. We have to understand that the Indian aspect of different subject is more prominent uh, than the Western concepts, and it should be taught by Indians. So she also play important role in the national education movement in the Swadeshi period, early 1900. He worked on Indian scripture. We discussed in the earlier slides that Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, and Vedas. He give various lectures, pamphlets, and in the easy language which will be accessible to students. She wrote also commentaries and delivered lecture about the comparative religion, comparative scripture. Both Indian and Westerners will understand. Advocated revival of India's ancient wisdom combined with the modern traditional roots, and promoted the universal brotherhood through spiritual teachings which she learned from this ancient wisdom. Now we'll deal some quotes of Annie Besant and how can she take the education system. What is her explanation about the education system? First quote uh, I have uh, collected from the Annie Besant's pamphlet, Education as a Basis of National Life. It is Adiyar Popular Lectures, delivered by 23rd February 1908. All over the world at the present time, thoughtful men and women are concerning themselves with education as being the basis of national life, the foundation of national prosperity. She always sees that the education is the basis of national life and foundation of national prosperity. Again, she wrote about the education status of India in the duties of theosophists, and she claimed that education should be free, because without free education we cannot uh, survive uh, uh, sustainable society. We cannot grow as a sustainable society, basically, especially in Indian context. Again, as a nationalist speech, India's awakening nationalist speeches, Annie Besant also said, "How long have I been urging upon you to take this matter of education into your own hand?" On hand means she is focusing of Indian young mothers and fathers, and she argues that the fathers and guardians are the people who ought to fashion international education. Again, his principle of education, national education pamphlet number one, she told that object of physical education is to develop, train, and coordinate the nervous, muscular, and glandular elements. The life science is to provide a sound and well-balancing body as the physical basis of religious, mental, and moral activism. Now, we'll concluding with the famous passage of the Annie Besant. She has wrote in India, Bound or Free, 1926, that the true aim of education is to develop the body in health, vigor, and grace so that it can express our emotions beautifully. First, emotional part, to strengthen the mind with clarity, accuracy, and power. Mental part, and to cultivate the heart to love what is notable and beautiful. So, how can it change the heart? To sympathize the joys and sorrows of others. How can we compensate? And to inspire a spirit of service that teaches far and wide. And inspiring part as a spirit of service. So education should guide us to honor our elders, care for our peers, nurture for young, find joy in selfless sacrifice, and show compensation, compassion even to the outcast and the helpless. It is to discipline the mind in right thinking and judgment, to harmonize body, mind, and emotions with the inner spirit. So we can see that in this line, she also talk about the harmonized body, mind, and emotion with the inner spirit, and to shape the individual into conscious, compensate, and capable contributor to society. This is necessary for every human, every civilians, and most important, every theosophist. So, later life and legacy, she contributed to work for theosophy, India's independence and education reform until her last days. In the latter lectures, we see her contribution in the independence and social reforms. And she remembered as a great educationist who laid the foundation for modern spiritual education based on Indian value system in India, a freedom fighter, a social reformer, a bridge between Western rationalism and Indian spiritualism. Now we can say that the Annie Besant was not just an educationist but a visionary thinker who blended modern knowledge with India's ancient wisdom, fought for women's rights, and played a pioneering role in Indian movement. Her life remains an inspiration for educators, reformers, and patriots. Her educational model influenced later reformers and thinkers, including various, we know that the Theosophists or the reformers. Thank you. You.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. This was very informational chunk of the meeting which covered her life, ideologies, important works, and her vision in educational sector for India, where she shared how important it is to have holistic development and not just purely academics. So it is very well said. Thank you so much, sir. Uh, now, I would like to call Dr. Rachana Srivastav, ma'am. Is Rachana ma'am here? Yes. So I would like to introduce Rachana ma'am. She's the principal and professor of political science at Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalay, affiliated with Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. With over 3 decades of teaching and administrative experiences, She has made significant contributions to academics through her research, publications, and leadership. She has authored and edited books published widely in reputed journals and newspapers, and completed research projects sponsored by UGC and ICSSR. Under her leadership, VKM achieved NAC A grade accreditation and introduced several new academic, vocational, and value added courses. So she is recognized for her dedication to education and social causes. Dr. Srivastav has been facilitated by multiple institutions and organizations for her exemplary service. So thank you so much for your service, ma'am, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank the Indian section and Shri Pradeep Mahapatra ji also for giving me an opportunity to speak, to express my views on a remarkable personality, because of whom, in fact, I would say that we are in existence, that is Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya is in existence, because the college is founded on the lofty ideas of Dr. Annie Besant. Dr. Annie Besant, as a socialist, when I was thinking about it, I realized that who can be a greater socialist than Dr. Annie Besant, a person who saw one God in all, who donated Central Hindu College to Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, and which formed the basis of Banaras Hindu University, who worked for the empowerment of women, who worked for the empowerment of the deprived class, not only in England, but in India also. Dr. Annie Besant was one of the most remarkable figures of the late 19th and early 20th century. And she was not only known for her contributions to theosophy and Indian nationalism, but for her pioneering work in socialist thought. Born on this day in 1847, Dr. Besant backed every radical cause which was going on in the late 19th century. Just imagine her time, the Victorian England, which was a censored society, and the limits of acceptable speech were drawn by very powerful, over-powerful churchmen. And much of what now passes as a good social policy was literally illegal to suggest at that time. She found inspiration in the militancy and courage of the working class, like many other radicals in England. Dr. Besant was prosecuted. You all must be knowing this, that she was prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act when she helped Charles Bradlaugh to publish an American book which advocated birth control. It was back in 1877. Her court case became a focal point for free speech and secularist campaigners in Britain. She began her public life as a social reformer and writer, and also an orator. She spoke very well. She realized while speaking on in a empty church, and from then on, we find that she was a great orator. Her early political activity was deeply intertwined with socialism, trade unionism, and the rights of workers, which laid the groundwork for her later international influence. During the 1880s, Dr. Annie Besant, we see that she became a socialist. How she became, we will see later on. Dr. Besant had grown up in a very conservative environment, but soon she developed radical ideas after experiencing the constraints which were imposed on women in Victorian England. Following the background of her marriage had broken down. So following the breakdown of her marriage, she became involved with the National Secular Society and began advocating for secularism, women's rights, and free thought. She was also involved in the early women's suffrage movement in London, working with Emmeline Pankhurst and Millicent Fawcett. During the 1870s, Dr. Besant was introduced to socialist literature, and she also came in touch. She also contacted leaders like Charles Bradlaugh and George Bernard Shaw, whose ideas helped shape her views on economic justice and collective responsibility. Dr. Besant's socialist credentials were cemented through her practical activism. You all must be knowing that she supported the match girls of the Bran and May factory in London during their famous 1888 strike, which drew attention to the appalling working conditions in which they were working, the unfair wages that were being offered to them, and hazardous exposure to white phosphorus. By writing about their plight and mobilizing public opinion, she helped secure better conditions and wages for those workers. This campaign became one of the earliest and most visible victories of the labor movement in Britain. Later on, Dr. Besant joined the Fabian Society, which was a socialist organization that advocated gradual and democratic transition to socialism rather than a violent revolution, which was being advocated by some other radical thinkers of that time. You must remember Karl Marx. She wrote pamphlets and delivered lectures on socialism, covering topics such as cooperative societies, municipal ownership of services, and the need for universal education, about which my predecessor, Dr. Darshan, was talking about. Her book, The Law of Population, which I had earlier mentioned about, and her pamphlets on workers' rights reflected her belief that social inequality was not inevitable, but it was the result of exploitative economic structures. If it was not inevitable, then it means it could be revoked and a better society could be established if efforts were made. Mrs. Besant's approach combined moral conviction with practical strategies, and thus she became a bridge between working class activism and middle class reform movements. She was, as I told you, she was greatly influenced by Fabian ideology, and it was shaped by intellectuals like George Bernard Shaw, Sidney and Beatrice Webb, Eleanor Marx, and William Morris. Her association with these intellectuals, with these personalities, and the Fabian Society played a great role in shaping her social and political ideals. And as a result of this, she advocated equal rights of workers, social reforms. At that time in which she was, the Fabian Society, which aimed to promote socialist principles through education and reform rather than revolution, became her bastion. She was a leading speaker for the Fabian Society and also for Marxist Social Democratic Foundation. she linked her struggle for the emancipation of the working class to the anti-colonial struggle of her mother's people in Ireland. And she did the same when she came to India. She was a staunch supporter of self-rule in India. And she had started home rule movement in India in 1916. She became the only, I would say, the woman president of that time of Indian National Congress. She was made the president of Indian National Congress in 1950. So Dr. Besant's socialism was inseparable from her feminism, from her cry for the rights of the workers, for reform in the society. And she argued that economic justice cannot be achieved without addressing the double burden which was being faced by the women of that time. First, it was low wages, and second, it was social subordination. In England, she campaigned for birth control and educational opportunities for women because she believed that through education, female emancipation would happen, and which was essential for a just society. And we all know that her this stance often invited controversy, but it also positioned her as one of the earliest advocates of an integrated approach to social reform. Dr. Besant moved to British-ruled India in 1890s. In fact, in 1893, she came to India. It was the time when Swami Vivekanand had gone to Chicago and he made his famous speech. And the whole world was influenced, was impacted by Indian culture when he had said brothers and sisters. The same year, Mrs. Besant came to India. And when she came to India, she did not limit herself to religious work or to the work of Theosophical Society, to theosophical ideas. Instead, she denounced British colonial rule as she had done in Ireland. I always like this line when she came to India. She said that I am an Indian tom-tom who has come to awaken the sleeping Indians. So see how huge a task she had to do. She questioned how India is not ruled for the development of its own people, for the prospering of the people of India. Rather, the British rule was for the profit of her conquerors, for her masters. She questioned that. In 1914, First World War began. British government declared war on Germany. Dr. Besant demanded self-government for India. If the war was being fought for nationalism, for self-rule, then the same self-rule should be given to India also. She demanded that for Indians. So working with Indian anti-colonial organizers, she formed the All India Home Rule League, as I have already mentioned. And this was one of the first India-wide political parties to demand an end to British rule. When Mrs. Besant was arrested by the colonial authorities in 1917, thousands of people demanded her release, including Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Although Dr. Besant is widely remembered for her role in Indian nationalism and the Theosophical Society, her socialist principles continued.
1 kilometer away, 4 minutes lo vastunnadu.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. She is remembered for her nationalism and for her work for Theosophical Society, but she is also remembered for her socialist principles, which continue her work in India. She founded schools, promoted civic engagement, and encouraged Indians to demand self-rule. Her emphasis on cooperative action, social
867 meters away. ఇక్కడికి వస్తుంది ఎదురుగుండా వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి వస్తుంది వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి
Is there any problem? So let us come back to what I was talking about, Dr. Besant's socialism. And if you want to know more about Dr. Besant's socialism, then you must read a short book. In fact, it is a book of 8 pages only, Why I Am a Socialist. It was printed in 1886. This book was printed by Dr. Besant and Charles Bradlaugh. Here, she gives 3 reasons that made her a socialist. She says that the first reason is why she became a socialist, that she
I think there was some glitch. Now all the mics are muted.
I have unmuted myself so that I can speak. So should I continue? The host, can you please tell me?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Yeah, and it is better to mute all the mics because there was a lot of disturbance. In fact, I was coming to a very important point as to why Dr. Besant became a socialist. And I was talking about her short book with the name Why I Am a Socialist, which was printed in 1886. Here she gives 3 reasons as to why she became a socialist. The first reason that she gives is that she is a believer in evolution. She says that the society has evolved from nomadism to industrialism. She says that several laws have also been framed to regulate the industries, to regulate the conditions in which the people work. Yet, there are so many other laws to be made. In fact, several acts have been framed for equal rights of the deprived people, but much is yet to be done. So as she believes in evolution, she says that she became a socialist so that she can guide this evolution. Second reason that she gives for being a socialist is, it is very important point. The second reason is, she says, it is the failure of our present civilization. She says that our present civilization has failed to create, to make an egalitarian society. She questions the contrast of life that development has brought to the population. She questions the conditions, the fairness, rationality of the lopsided development brought about by the modern civilization. And it has robbed the civilized toiler of all natural beauty and physical joy which otherwise was his, and instead has given him the slum, the poverty, the conditions which are not worth living. She is very apprehensive that once this deprived class realizes this justice, that this injustice is being done with him, then it may cause a mad outburst of misery and starvation among people. She questions if it is not a part of the duty of a good citizen in every great city to try to change a social system which bears such products as these, which brings misery to a lot of people. She says that education is awakening the deprived people, and slowly an educated proletariat is being formed. And this educated proletariat will work out its own salvation, and it will wreck the pyramid, it will destroy the pyramid of civilization. She says that elite are thriving at the cost of the labor of the proletariat. What Marx had said, she also repeats that a few people are thriving at the cost of the labor of the proletariat. And this discontentment is not limited to those who are being victimized or who are in a spatial sense its victims. In fact, in every class of the society, there are people who are working for a complete revolution in the method of production and distribution of wealth. In them, sympathy has triumphed over selfishness, who want to share their wealth with those whose hands are empty. They want to build an egalitarian society. So, Dr. Besant's time saw a socialist movement, which was more a movement of the middle class than that of the working class. It had intellectual support of a number of social and political thinkers. We all know that if we talk of the late 19th century, we see that many political and social thinkers were raising their voices for the deprived people. So it was a movement, the socialist movement at that time was more a movement of the middle class, of the intellectual people, than that of the deprived or poor people. The third reason that Dr. Besant gives for being a socialist is that poverty of the workers is an integral part. It has become an integral part of the present method of wealth production and wealth distribution. And this needs to be changed. Under this method, the destiny of the landless farmers and capital labor lies at the mercy of the privileged class. At the one end, there are the owners of land and capital, and at the other end, the poor farmers or labor who raise the crop or create a product. But the owner of the land or of the capital claims the fruit of his labor just because of his ownership of land or capital. The property, which should have been common property, is owned by a few people. The choice before common man is between exploitation and starvation. Either he lets himself get exploited by the have group, or he starves himself and his family to death. Machinery, which is one of the advantages of civilizations, gives wealth to its individual owner and bears subsistence to the toilers who work with it. This she found very unjust, and she says that the socialist system is the only system where there shall be no individual monopoly of capital and land.
Hello, ma'am.
She says,
Hello, ma'am.
yes,
Sorry to pause you. Sorry to stop you in between. Can we wrap up a little bit
yes,
faster?
I am,
Because another amazing speaker is also waiting for the.
I am coming to the concluding.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
See, Dr. Besant says that she believes in socialism because no system, save that of socialism, claims for the whole community control of its land and capital. Because no system, save that of socialism, declares that wealth created by associate workers should be shared among those workers and that no idlers should have a lien upon it. Because no system, save that of socialism, makes industry really free and the workers really independent by substituting cooperation among workers for employed and employee classes. Because of all this, she says, I am a socialist. So this, she herself gives the argument she has given in her book, Why I Am a Socialist. So if we conclude, we can say that Dr. Besant was a great socialist whose life embodied the principles of solidarity, equality, and reform. And from the Match Girls strike in London to her educational initiatives in India, she worked tirelessly to improve the lives of ordinary people. Her vision of socialism was compassionate yet practical, rooted in democratic principles and moral responsibility. With this, I come to a conclusion. In fact, it became a little more theoretical because I had gone through that book of hers and I wanted to share something from that book. Thank you for listening to me and giving me so much of time. If I have taken more time than allotted to me, I am sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. No problem, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your insightful views on Dr. Annie Besant. We remember her as a powerful orator and a compassionate social reformer who advocated for women and sensitive issues around that time by social reforms and education. So her work awoke thousands and will keep awaking thousands. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I welcome our third speaker, N.C. Krishna sir, who joined the Theosophical Society when he was 16 years old. He is qualified professionally as a chartered accountant. He is now settled at Hyderabad. He owns everything to his maternal grandfather, who by his example inspired him to join the Theosophical Society. And he's trying to lead a life based on Theosophical principles sincerely. He is now a national lecturer, executive member of the Indian section, India, as well as international speaker of Theosophical Society, India. Thank you. We welcome you, sir.
Before I start, Pooja ji, I would like to know how much time I have.
Around
It's 7 already.
Yes, so around 15 minutes.
Whatever you
15
say.
to 20 minutes.
Okay, others have taken more, but I would like to know, I would like to close well on time.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dear brothers, we have met online and we are talking about Dr. Annie Besant, and my topic is Annie Besant, the greatest theosophist. Annie Besant was asking in one of her lectures to the theosophical audience, after all, who is a theosophist? Who is a theosophist? He is not just a member, she said. A theosophist is one who is constantly searching for truth. While doing so, that is, while searching for truth, he perhaps has glimpses of the truth. And so he follows the glimpses in his life. He takes those glimpses into his life and continues his inward journey and moves on the purposeful journey of finding the truth or arriving at the truth. And the whole truth, she says, will reveal itself when that person does justice to the cause for which he was living. So the person has to exert, that is perhaps what is called sadhana, and moves in the right direction, then he will be able to arrive at the truth. And then once having found the truth, he'll live by the truth, is what Madam Annie Besant said to that gathering which was listening to her. So that person who searches for truth and lives by truth is called the theosophist. Rightly so, Madam Annie Besant wanted that this phrase should be there as an epitaph on her tomb. She says, I ask no other epitaph on my tomb other than she tried to follow truth. This is the epitaph she wanted on her tomb. She tried to follow truth. This sentence she wrote sums up and reflects her entire life's commitment to seeking the truth or working for the sake of truth. Her life she dedicated herself in pursuit of truth, in pursuit of excellence. Perhaps one of the greatest theosophists was Dr. Annie Besant. In the annals of theosophical history, she remains as one of the greatest theosophists we have ever come across. Annie Besant says, never forget life can only be nobly be inspired and rightly lived if one takes it on bravely, takes life bravely and gallantly as a splendid adventure, or a splendid adventure. And he would then excel, and he was set out to arrive at truth or pursuit of truth. How did she become such a splendid theosophist? This is the question many people ask. How did she become such a splendid theosophist? The conviction and the commitment she had towards theosophy is the only reason why she became such a towering personality of the theosophical world. There is a Sanskrit sentence which says, Na bhuto na bhavishyati. If you relate that to Madam Annie Besant, there will be no one like her in the future. No one like that was there in the past. This is how we remember Madam Annie Besant, who existed always for practicing the principles of theosophy, who lived the right kind of life. She only wanted to practice love, affection, compassion, etc. Her tryst with the Theosophical Society started when she was asked to give a review or submit a review of the magnum opus of Madame Blavatsky, The Secret Doctrine. This work was given to her by one of the daily newspapers of London, the Pall Mall, as it was called, Pall Mall Gazette. The editor gave that task to Annie Besant to review the 2 volumes and give a review of that in the newspaper, because that Secret Doctrine was published in 1888 and it was making waves, and people wanted to know what it contained. So this task of reviewing the book was given to Madam Annie Besant. So she studied the book. Unlike most of us who do review differently, she studied the book and reviewed the Secret Doctrine in the most competent way. She wrote one of the best reviews that is said about that, reviews of the Secret Doctrine in those days. Dr. Annie Besant remarked that the Secret Doctrine was a tough subject to understand, and she said it required patience and careful study, diligent study. She said the topics which were there were tough to understand, and she said it required a lot of patience and diligence and careful study. Madam Annie Besant says the subjects covered by Madam Blavatsky were so many and very profound that studying them made her believe that HPB was well read and she was inspired by HPB's erudition. And soon the desire to meet her in person was there with Dr. Annie Besant. So she met Blavatsky, and that's how the membership of the Theosophical Society was taken by Madam Annie Besant through H.P. Blavatsky. So Blavatsky was her teacher, was her guide, and HPB gladly accepted her as a disciple and took Annie Besant to the inner circle of the society too. From that moment, Annie Besant joined the Theosophical Society. She dedicated her life, all her energy, all her strength to study theosophy and be a devoted member of the Theosophical Society. How did she become such an ardent, such a devoted member? As many people might wonder, she said in her autobiography, what transformed her was her study of theosophy. What transformed her was her study of theosophy under the tutelage of Madame Blavatsky. Annie Besant chose Madame Blavatsky as her guide and teacher. The study of theosophy made her an ardent, devoted member of TS. Perhaps there is a message for all of us. If we study, we can become an ardent member of the Theosophical Society. Madame Blavatsky's teachings also inspired Madame Annie Besant to lead the right kind of life based on theosophical principles of brotherhood and love. In the course of time, by dint of hard work, she became the greatest member of the Theosophical Society, and she graduated to become the greatest theosophist and a great leader of the Theosophical Society. Maybe she became the greatest theosophist for all times to come. We can say that the period of her presidency from the year 1907 to 1933 was perhaps the golden period of the Theosophical Society, and the work she has done were exemplary. Her work of propagating and popularizing theosophy was so great. An encyclopedia by name Britannia Britannica of London published her name, though wrongly, as the founder of the Theosophical Society. That was the nature of work she was doing. Her study of theosophy and her ability to speak well made her into one of the best speaker and an orator par excellence about or on theosophy. After HPB's passing away in 1891, from the year 1891 to the year 1907, she toured all over the world and lectured on theosophy, and she spread the message of theosophy far and wide in very clear terms. Her talks were authentic. Brother Henry Steele Alcott, who was following her talks, was very impressed with her work. She being a student and teacher of science, she not only carried her teacher's message of theosophy, but she also followed the teacher's direction and synthesized religion, theosophy, and science. Religion, philosophy, and science. She synthesized religion, philosophy, and science. That was the direction given to her by Madame Blavatsky. Having studied theosophy as presented to her by her teacher, she simplified the writings of Madame Blavatsky and authored many books and fulfilled the duty of a theosophist to express theosophy in terms of simplicity so that other people, the common people, can understand and live by that philosophy. And to mention few of those books, The Ancient Wisdom, In the Outer Court, The Laws of Higher Life, The Study in Consciousness, are some of the titles which we can say which were simplified versions of the portions which were there in the secret doctrine. So they did serve the purpose of introducing the concepts which are there in the secret doctrine to a common man who found it difficult to go through the volumes of cosmogenesis and anthropogenesis. So this is the service which he has done to the Theosophical Society and to the Theosophical members. It is difficult to list out all the books she has authored, which perhaps exceeded 300 according to one of the estimates. And this perhaps included also the booklets which she produced. More importantly, to understand theosophy, to present theosophy to the Western audience, she had produced 7 manuals on theosophy with the collaboration from or with Bishop C.W. Leadbeater. The manuals are even today worth going through by any student of theosophy to understand the full subjects which are mentioned there, like reincarnation, karma, death, life after death, etc. So the manuals are very, very important, and she has authored them in collaboration with Bishop Leadbeater. As a speaker and as a leader of the Theosophical Society, she toured Europe, America, and India. So she started inspiring people in general and members of Theosophical Society in particular to lead the right kind of life, based on Theosophical principles of love and togetherness and oneness. Wherever she visited, she made a great impact on the teach and the listeners. How was that possible? This is again another question people have asked. She made a great impact on the listeners. How was that possible? The words which came out of her person, maybe came out of her heart, which came out based on the study, and the words she spoke were more laced with love and affection. And importantly, because she lived theosophy, the words which she carried or which she lectured or the words she used to lecture were very inspiring. She said in one of her talks, actions speak louder than words. Madam Annie Besant spoke in one of her lectures, actions speak louder than words. It is theosophical action, what she meant, based on truth and love and concern for others. So this was stressed by Madam Annie Besant, saying that actions are more important than mere words. She said in the last convention lecture which she gave in the year 1931 that we can spread theosophy only when we live theosophy. In the last convention lecture of 1931, she was not supposed to deliver the lecture. She was sick, she was not well. And the responsibility of reading out the lecture to the delegates was given to the Vice President, Mr. A.P. Warrington. But as he was getting ready to read the lecture, he found Madam Annie Besant walking up the dais, supported by 2 people. And she said she would like to talk or she would like to lecture. And she took permission initially to sit and deliver the lecture, but then she started the lecture standing and stood for 1 hour and lectured extensively. So this is what we hear from A.P. Warrington, who was the Vice President in 1930s. So she said in that lecture specifically that we can spread theosophy well only when we live theosophy. She said it is not our words, but it is our life that affects people. It is our life that affects people. She says one need not be well read to lead the right kind of life. One need not be well read or erudite to lead the right kind of life, which will impact people. The right kind of life will impact people. One need not be man of letters to lead the right kind of life. That's what she meant. So one can influence other people through one's life. It is exactly how I learned, and I sought the permission of my grandfather to join the Theosophical Society, because I saw a man living for truth, speaking the truth, acting for the Theosophical Society. He was also a national lecturer, going tirelessly all over India, and that was the life which inspired me to become a member of the Theosophical Society. She says in the same lecture of 1931 that we are afraid of ourselves to trust ourselves. This is what she says. She says in the same lecture that we are afraid to trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves rightly because we have a feeling that we are not in touch with the divinity which is within us. She was asking us to trust ourselves and get in touch with the divinity which is there in us, and trust all our, put our trust in all of our being which is there, the inner being which is there, and that would lead us to the right kind of life. She was all-time great as a member of the Theosophist, and she adds, people see our lives. It's not by mere words they get influenced. They see our lives and not by listening to our words. She said, members who inspires sometimes may be silent, but they are a great source of inspiration through their Spartan lives. This is what she said. So we bring out the best in us. We bring out the best in us when we love others. This is another statement she makes. We bring out the best in us when we love others, when we pour our love to those who are around us. What one really matters, what one really should be looking at is what one is. What is he? What one is more relevant than what he believes. This is another emphatic statement she made. What one is more relevant than what he believes. So beliefs are not important, but the right approach to life and the way in which one lives, what one is, that really matters. This is what she said in the lecture. She says, what is enormously relevant, again she's stressing this, what is enormously relevant is what one is. What you are, more and more, most important than what you believe. So what you live, for what principles you live, that is more important than the beliefs you have. I believe in brotherhood, but I don't practice brotherhood. I believe in oneness, but I don't think in terms of oneness to live my life. So she said, life is more important than beliefs. Sometimes the expression of love may look foolish. People may ridicule us, but still one should love others. Why should one like and love everyone around? This question was asked. Because we are all one. Our source is one. We believe in oneness. We believe in the universal brotherhood. That's the reason why we should love everyone around us. In those times, believe the self in you, the God is within you, then we can be sure we will live a nobler life than the ordinary. She said, believe the self, the capital self, the amsha of the Paramatma in you and the God within you, then a person who is living like that can be sure that we live a nobler life than the ordinary mundane life. So one becomes noble when one loves the others without a reason, said Madam Annie Besant, because life is love. Annie Besant said to Mr. Warrington and Mrs. Warrington, this is not in a lecture, but a small conversation, make young people welcome to Adyar. Make young people welcome to Adyar. Let them come and study theosophy. Even if they don't become members, it is all right. This is what she said. Make young people welcome to Adyar. Let them come and study theosophy. Even if they don't become members, it is all right. So this is how she believed that theosophy should reach everyone. Our duty on this August day is to welcome all these principles, get inspired by all these principles by which she lived, and welcome all these principles into our lives. She says, after all, what is a theosophist? As we said, he is someone who seeks truth. So we should all become seekers of truth and live with the truth, live with the help of the truth. So this is how exactly we can excel in the fields in which we choose to excel. So to discover the call of our life, to discover the right direction which we should take in our life, we should go with the inner inspiration which is there based on the divinity which is living in us. So, Madam Annie Besant worked ceaselessly the entire period of her life in the Theosophical Society to transform lives of many. She transformed herself and she transformed the lives of many. Let us also get inspiration from her life and transform ourselves and become better members of the Theosophical Society and move in the direction of becoming a good Theosophist. This is perhaps what I felt was required to talk about Annie Besant, the greatest Theosophist. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful thoughts, sir. All I could hear was how Madam Annie Besant was a compassionate, kind, devoted, and one of the greatest theosophists. Thank you for sharing your views, sir. So, on her birth anniversary, I am grateful that even I got the opportunity to express my thoughts on her. So, Annie Besant is called a diamond soul. Just like the many shining facets of a diamond, she too had many divine facets. She's also known as Sarva Shukla Saraswati. Just as the goddess Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom, Annie Besant possessed profound knowledge and was revered as Vidya Devi on earth. She was a great orator who always used the perfect words for every situation. Speaking about this, she once said that she had been speaking for 20,000 years, meaning that through many lives she had been giving sermons and spreading wisdom. Another remarkable coincidence is that the planetary position, that is Tithi, an astronomical situation, at that time of her birth on 1st October 1847, were exactly the same at the time of her passing on 20th September 1933. It is said that because of this, she was regarded as a perfect adept and true daughter of Saraswati Putri. It was her wish that the words inscribed in front of her samadhi should be, she lived the truth all through her life. And throughout her life, she authored around 500 books, leaving behind a treasure of wisdom and knowledge. Thank you so much. By expressing my thoughts, I would like to conclude this meeting, and I'm grateful to every one of you. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Madam Annie Besant. Thank you so much.